In this video, you'll learn to explain how a text's illustrations emphasize aspects of a character or setting. Have you ever heard the saying, "A picture is worth 1,000 words"? This saying basically means that a picture can tell us just as good of a story as a large amount of text. Let's take a look at this picture. Can you figure out what's going on? Can you figure out where the story takes place, or anything about the characters? To me, it looks like these two girls are at a clown-themed birthday party. Both of them look really tired, probably because they've been eating too many sweets. So what about this picture? Where's this story set? I noticed the skates on the characters' feet. I can tell that they're at an ice skating rink. I notice a crying little girl with what looks like a sneaky older sister. What does this picture tell you about the setting and the characters in the story? Let's learn how to explain how a text's illustrations emphasize a setting. We'll read The Jumblies by Edward Lear. Edward Lear is a poet from the early 1800s. He wrote mostly in limericks, a form of poetry characterized by humor and nonsense and AABBA rhyme structure. Let's look at the illustration first and then read this nonsense poem to understand how the illustration emphasizes the story's setting. Remember, in this video, we're learning to explain how an illustration emphasizes or shows us aspects of a setting. Remember these 4 steps. 1. Look at the illustration. Where is the picture set and who is in the picture? Step 2. Read the text. Where does the story take place and who are the characters in the story? 3. Identify anything that's confusing and look to the picture for help. Step 4. Figure out what part of the story the illustration focuses on. So, are you ready? Step 1. Examine the illustration. Let's figure out where the picture is set and what characters are in the picture. Take a look at this picture. Where do you think the story is set? I noticed some waves. I can tell that this is set in the ocean or the sea. I also noticed that a bunch of little men are sitting inside something that sort of resembles a boat. Although I'm not really sure what kind of boat. I've never really seen one like this before. It sort of looks out of place, almost like one of those contraptions my mom uses to sift flour with when she's baking. So to sum up, it looks like this picture is set at sea. There are little teeny men in a boat-looking type contraption that sort of looks like one of my mom's cooking utensils. Okay, step 2, read the text. Let's figure out where the story is set and who the characters are. They went to sea in a sieve, they did. In a sieve, they went to sea. In spite of all their friends could say, on a winter's morn, on a stormy day, in a sieve, they went to sea. And when the sieve turned round and round, and everyone cried, "You'll all be drowned," they called aloud, "Our sieve ain't big, but we don't care a button, we don't care a fig. In a sieve, we'll go to sea." So as we read the story, can we figure out the setting? They went to sea in a sieve. We know they were at sea. I don't really know what a sieve is, but that's okay. And we know they went to sea on a stormy day on a morning in the winter. So now on to step 3. Let's figure out what's confusing in the text and then clarify it using the picture. Remember when we were confused about the word sieve? Well, now let's look back at the picture to help us figure out what is meant by the word sieve. Okay, they went to sea in a sieve, which means that this little contraption right here must be a sieve. If I look it up, I can find that a sieve is a kitchen tool that helps to sift flour. And finally on to step 4. This is the most important step. What does the illustration focus on or emphasize? What does it show us about the story? This illustration focuses on showing us the setting. It helps us visualize what it looks like to stick little men in this kitchen contraption called a sieve. Now, do sieves belong on the sea? No. So because this sieve with all these little men is at sea and this sieve seems out of place, we can tell that this picture emphasizes the silliness of the setting of the poem. So let's review what we did today. We learned to explain how an illustration emphasizes aspects of the setting. In this case, we learned that the illustration emphasizes the silliness of the setting. Here are the 4 steps that we followed. First, we examined the illustration. We observed that the picture looked like it took place at sea. Second, we read the text and we determined the setting. We looked at the words to figure out that the story or the poem was set at sea. Third, we identified anything that was confusing. We found the word sieve to be confusing, so we looked at the picture. And fourth, we figured out what part of the story or the poem the illustration focused on. A really silly setting. So next time you have to use this skill, follow these 4 steps. Identify the setting in the picture, identify the setting in the text, clarify anything that's confusing by looking at the pictures, and think about what the illustration emphasizes. Pause the video to write these steps in your journal. Good luck and have fun!